Hey folks, Jeff here at Back to Country. Appreciate y'all stopping by the channel today. Well, as you can see, I'm back at the property. Been here for a few days. Although I really haven't got much done because it's been raining a lot. It's kind of crazy. Seems like it's rained every single day, just enough to be problematic. You know, it's keeping the ground muddy, and the humidity is extremely high, and so it's just a little bit challenging to do different things. But let me show you what I got going on. Like I said, it's a little bit muddy. You can see some standing water there. It's dried up a little bit because this wind's blowing pretty good. So with the wind blowing, that does kind of dry up the rain a little bit. But when I got here, I had 6 inches of rain in the rain gauge. Now I don't know what period of time that was over. One of the neighbors did say that a couple days before I got here they had a really good rain. And of course I could see evidence of runoff and everything to say there was a pretty good rain. I just didn't know exactly when it was, and I don't know if all that 6 inches of rain came in that one storm or if it had accumulated in there. Typically the rain gauge will dry out if there's not a lot of rain in between each storm, you know, depending on how much is in there, obviously. But it'll evaporate out if it's just a little bit. So who knows? But regardless of whether it was in one storm or over a bit of time, 6 inches is still a lot of rain. And then it's rained a lot since I got here. Now luckily the road pretty much is about the same as it was, so you know, you can see there's a little bit of erosion, but not really damage as far as anything I'm concerned about. The damaged part that I need to repair or rebuild is holding up and seems to be staying about the same. So it's December, and you know, you might wonder, well, what am I doing here? Why ain't I back home with the family? Well, I got stuff to do. That's why I'm doing here. So I've been kind of working a little bit here in the shop, mainly moving stuff out of here because I need to clean it out completely, empty it out when the spray foamers show up, so that we can shoot all this with spray foam. So that's one of the challenges I got going on. I've been really looking at what my options are as far as spray foam. So I had a plan, and I was going to go with a company out of Missouri that is a do-it-yourself kind of company. And what they do is they rent out the spray rigs. It's called US Spray Foam Rentals. If you're you know, want to look it up, they've got a website and everything. I mean, they've been for many years now. I've been watching them. They've been real busy. I mean, they had multiple rigs. They was advertising their rentals through eBay. They got a website. They use word of mouth. They, you know, I mean, they, like I say, I don't even know how many years I've been looking at them, more than 10. And you know, that was kind of my plan, because it's a lot cheaper when you're paying for rental of the rig and then your materials. And so basically the way that they operate is you rent their rig. It's, you know, according to eBay, it's about $850 a day. And then, you know, you pay whatever the price is for each set of materials. So a set is 2 55-gallon drums of the materials, and of course those mix together. You know, the spray rig mixes them together as they leave the nozzle, and that's how you get your foam. And so they have a professional that travels with the rig, and he runs the rig. He trains you how to do your own spraying, and so He makes sure that everything's working the way it's supposed to be working, and changes out the sets and all that kind of stuff, and lets you do the spraying. So, you know, typically people have said that they saved 40 to 50% based on, you know, what they were quoted from companies do it themselves, or, you know, having the company do it. So of course labor savings is huge, and you know, that worked out for us. So that was our plan and what we wanted to do. Unfortunately, you know, I've been calling this company for months, and it's the weirdest thing because they still have their ads, you know, I'll say ads, listings up on eBay. Their website is still there, like they're in business. If you call their phone number, an answering machine answers saying what their office hours and everything are. Unfortunately, you never get a person and you never get a call back. If you do an eBay deal, you get no response. Yeah, it's just the craziest thing. So even they have a, you know, online deal you can submit and request quotes. I've done that. I've done every darn thing I could think of to try to get a hold of this company, and nope, no response. And this has gone on for months now. So I don't know what happened to them. Like I say, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Typically when a company goes out of business, you know, their phone lines go down, their websites go down, etc. But this one, everything's still up and running, and they look like they're still in business. But apparently they're not. I don't know. Makes you wonder, did the owner like just suddenly die or something, and everything's still there and the bills are still getting paid, but the wife doesn't know nothing about the business and she's trying to sell it or something? I don't know. You would think that somebody would go in and update a website or something, but nope, nothing. So craziest thing. So I went out for bids here locally, and you know, basically it looks like what we're going to be able to afford now is 2 inches of closed cell foam. So, you know, a lot of people here in Texas do 1 inch of closed cell foam. So they typically will shoot the walls with 1 inch. They'll cover all the purlins, and same thing on the roof. They'll shoot the walls, cover the purlins, everything encased with 1 inch of spray foam, closed cell. And you know, that's good. That's I think in the 70, maybe even as high as 80% for heat retention, you know, in studies of spray foam. And we decided we want more than that, so we're going with 2 inches of closed cell. And with 2 inches, that gets us up to I want to say 90 to 93% heat retention, somewhere right in there. And you know, that's just a study they did where they took a box or whatever and put heat in it, and went from 0 spray foam to, you know, however many inches max they did closed cell, and showed the percentage of heat retention. And you know, basically return on investment once you start to go over 2 inches. You know, if 2 inches already puts you in the 90 to 93 percentile, then once you get up to higher than that, it really is a diminishing return on your investment, because then you only go up by, you know, 1 to 3% per inch of foam. So 2 inches, I think, is the magic number. Regardless, it's what we can afford. We've got a company that, well, we got several bids, and the best bid we got was about $22,000. So, you know, as you can see, this is a big building. So, you know, we're talking, we're not spraying over the doors, obviously. So you basically take your total wall space, roof space, everything, minus the doors and windows. And so let me see here, look on my phone where I have my math. So basically the total roof square footage, so this is a 4,000 square foot building if we just measure floor space. But when we look at the roof, because it's pitched, it's 212 pitch, or for every 12 inches lengthwise, it climbs 2 inches height-wise. So, you know, from the outside to the center, those are, I want to say 25 feet, a few inches or something, which basically, you know, gives us a climb of just over 2 feet. And so that adds to the square footage. So if we talk board feet, so board feet of foam is at 1 inch thickness. So our total roof square footage is 4,055 square feet. But you got to double that because we're doing 2 inches. So that's what, 8,110 square feet just for the roof. You know, and then on the walls, so the total wall space, those are 16-foot high walls. It's 80 foot long. And we subtract out the doors, and so I think we get over 1,000 square feet per wall. And of course we got the end walls, which are 50 feet wide, and you got to account for the gable. That's that 2-foot rise we talked about. So anyway, when you add all the wall space and everything up, and then you subtract the doors and the windows, we come up with 3,713 square foot. But then, like I say, you got to double it for 2 inches thick. So our total roof and wall comes out to 7,768. And then, like I say, double that. So we're talking over 15,000 square feet of coverage. So it's a lot. And that's where the price comes in, not only for the materials, but for the labor. And of course, your closed cell foam is more dense, and that's where your cost is much higher on the foam. But that's what we're going to go with. Now, here's where we start to get into some debate of, okay, that's the main building. That's what we're going to do. So remember, we're going to build a building inside of this building. So we're going to have this end of the room is basically going to be, you know, our closed-in living quarters. And so my plan is to do bat insulation in the living quarters. So it'll be an insulated building inside of an insulated building. But one of the contractors I talked to, he started saying that, you know, these buildings can get pretty noisy in the, you know, some of these storms and everything, and that the spray foam doesn't provide a lot of sound insulation because it is so dense. And he kind of suggested open cell spray foam over the top of the closed cell spray foam to muffle that sound, and of course it would provide even more insulation value. For now, I'm just going to go with the closed cell, but you know, I'd be curious if anybody out there watching has ever done this before, and they've done both closed cell and then open cell on top of it for a living quarters or something. So these walls, you know, this is an 8-inch purlin right here. And so, you know, if we say 2 inches of thickness, we still have 6 inches of space left. So in theory, they were recommending like 3.5 inches on top of the 2 inches. So that, you know, would give you 5.5 inches. And so just say that's 7.5 inches. You end up with another, no, 5.5 inches. My bad. Don't do math in public. 5.5 inches, you still end up with 2.5 inches of space left here. And then we've got a 4-inch stud wall that'll go right up against that. And so, you know, you still have a lot of empty space there. And my thought is, well, regardless of whether it's 2 inches or, you know, 5 inches, whatever, with all that empty space, I still need to insulate the building because, you know, there can be air in between. So in theory, you got a 4-inch stud wall here. You can put batt insulation from the inside into that stud wall, fill that, whether it's fiberglass or rock wool. You know, like I say, if there's anybody out there that is an expert at this and actually has done it, I would love some feedback. I would love to know what people think about these different insulation options and what we should be thinking about when we do this. So, you know, to me, I read about the rock wool, and the rock wool seems to be, because it's also pretty dense, a good option for sound. And so to me, if I do 2 inches of closed cell and then I put a stud wall here, and then I do, you know, if you say a 2x4, that's 3.5 inches. So let's just say 3.5 inches. Or in theory, I could put more in there, but let's just go with the standard, whatever the wall, rock wool wall insulation is. And we put that in there, and then you got a piece of sheetrock on the inside, or, you know, wood, whatever we go with as the covering. You know, there's your barrier. So there would be airflow in between those two spaces. Now we could, you know, obviously, if you look up there, there's 2 lines on that purlin, and so that kind of represents, I think, a 16-inch truss that'll sit on top of the stud wall. And so when we get to the top of that, there'll be flooring on top of that, and then the second floor above. And this end will be storage area on top, so it'll be pretty much open. So this side will be all enclosed all the way up to the top of the roof. There'll be 2 floors, so basically a bedroom and an office above that, and a bathroom and another bathroom upstairs. And so that'll all be enclosed, and we can easily close that off to where there isn't really airflow in between the wall. We could also build this side to where when we put the floor, we push it out up against the tin. We stuff it with insulation at the top, and you know, we could even seal it off with some foam or whatever, caulking, I don't know, whatever we need to seal it off. Just depending on how the wood flooring, you know, pushes up against the wall, what kind of space we're talking about. I would probably just take some of the Right Stuff foam and just fill it in. And so that can be sealed off as well. Does it need to be? I don't know. I'm not an insulation expert. And when you go out on the internet, man, there's tons of different opinions out there. And so it's really hard to say what's the right way to do this. So all I'm going to do out of the gate is I'm going to spray 2 inches of closed cell foam over the entire building, with exception obviously of doors and windows. And that's our starting point. But when we start to build the living quarters in here, we really would like a plan. Now I can have them come back and shoot more closed cell foam over the top of the open cell foam. If we think that's the right way to go, But like I say, if I put that in there, I'm still going to have to insulate the building. Now this back wall, it's just going to be a solid, a wall, a regular framed stud wall with coverings on both sides. Probably on the shop side it'll be plywood, maybe 3/4 inch even, because that way I can bolt stuff to it or whatever. And on the front side it'll be, wood, sheetrock, whatever we use as our wall coverings on the inside of the living quarters. And so in between that, we will need insulation. And whether we go with spray foam, rock wool, or fiberglass batt insulation is yet to be determined. But that's kind of where I'm asking for you guys. If there's anybody out there, or if you know somebody that is an expert and you can get them to chime in on this, I really appreciate that. And we're just fishing for information and trying to put together our plan. The other thing, of course, that always kind of concerns me, you can look, so I got like, that looks like a water puddle, and over here's another one, but there's no leaks in this roof. I've checked it over and over, and with the humidity, I've had the door open obviously, but the humidity has been so crazy in here. The floor is actually wet. Now they put a barrier down under this floor, a plastic barrier, so water should not be coming up from underneath. It's got to be just the humidity. So you can see under my truck, there's like drips and puddles, and that's all condensation dripping off the truck. And then same thing under the RV. There's drips and puddles under the RV that is basically condensation dripping off of the RV. And some days the floor has been like totally dry. Here you can see is a dry area. But if you look around, it looks wet in here. There's a lot of water on the floor, and it's all from the humidity, condensation basically. Under the truck and under the RV is where it's the most, because the condensation is literally dripping off them. So this isn't going to be like full-time air conditioned or anything. This is a lot of space to try to air condition, so the insulation obviously is going to help control the temperature and stuff, and if these doors ain't staying opened all the time, hopefully that will help with the condensation and the humidity. But I don't know, I'm concerned. So today the humidity is like, it's over 80%. I don't remember exactly what it's at, but it's not uncommon for the humidity here to be high in the 80+ percentile. And so when that happens, obviously condensation's an issue. So that's something else I'm thinking about on these walls and everything. Do I need to be concerned about the humidity and stuff and what that's going to do to the insulation as well? Now I know that for that option, spray foam is one of your better options. And obviously with the closed cell spray foam, the humidity shouldn't be an issue. But will humidity gather up on the walls and be dripping down? I don't know. So right now we're going to spray the 2-inch, and I'm going to kind of watch it and see what it does, just like that. And yeah, it's just something I'm thinking about, like when we close this wall up over here, if you've got batt insulation in the walls and there's an air gap between these two, is that something that's gonna, is there somehow gonna be condensation building in there or what? I don't know. I hope not. We can, like I say, seal it up if need be to create kind of a closed deal, but maybe it'll be better if it breathes a little. I don't know. And then of course I know that even like the rock wool is better than the fiberglass when it comes to moisture. So man, there's a lot of stuff to think about in this insulation challenge. So anyway, that's what I'm doing here. Right now it looks like my insulation guys aren't going to be available until maybe January. I mean, they're going to call me if something pops up, opens up, I guess, sooner than that, but it's looking like maybe January for before we can get it done. So it is what it is. I'd like to get it done as soon as possible so I can keep progressing on other stuff, but we just got to go with what we got to go with. So anyway, appreciate y'all if you've stuck around this long. And like I say, if you got friends or experts, or any of you are experts on insulation and you can help give us some advice on all this, we greatly appreciate it. And obviously we will have the discussion with our actual spray foam people when they're here, and kind of get their advice as well. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. Appreciate y'all watching. Take care. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.